money on a weekly. Here we are live, MMT, and we have what we call Nasdaq 100 weekly index option training as market maker level, not your day trading levels and all the other stuff you know. Now, how do I get in when the bid's at 34.90 by 37? They close at 39. Now, mind you that Nasdaq 100 has a support level, which is also going to hold the level of this pricing control area. So right now, in the first 31 minutes of the tape, you can see how the indexes are faring within their bull rally pullback phase. So when we look at the bid, we've got to look at the close, sir, because that's that $5 ratio in the wholesale bid within that range. What we will do, depending on what we do here at support level and what the futures are doing, it depends on how that's going to benchmark that 35.30 by 36.80. The public does not know how to engage in that bid and ask. We are very experts in
I just got hit on the
and
put.
we have very expert learning levels in it.
On Apple.
One of the things that we were doing before I got interrupted is, and I'm glad I did, and that was showing MMTs how Apple was breaking the highs and how the calls, the $600 call, finally peaked at a high here of 1480. But remember, they were the very same $600 call that was marked down in the weekly on Friday, because it was. And here is that $600 call chart right here. Daily. And there's only 2 days on the name. They were marked down and then they were marked up, just like I said over the weekend in the training, and how to spot these down here and load up. That's, look it, you can see clearly that daily volume off of the low at the wholesale price in the $600 call. Now that this call has come back up in the weekly, we will go to the invert, and take a look at the inflated put and how they have come down in value. And the inflated put option that was inflated from last week, there's only 2 days, that this has come down now, 785 on the print. Well, I have a 630 bid on a low. That's holding, and that's based on an Apple, and Apple would have to come up to the strike price, and it did. But back to the 2750 call update, Nasdaq 100 is weekly 21.80 to $18 was a negative ratio spread. Total range, if it's correct data, which I believe it is, because 2420 is what I'm showing on the high. Okay, on Nasdaq 100. Can an MMT confirm my price levels? On the weekly 4/5/2012 2750 call. It's a 2540 by 2680 with 11 open that we're trading. Now, just remember, from the close of 2180 to 2420, and this is all done in 48 minutes of the opening bell of the opening hour. 48 minutes of the opening bell of the opening hour, and I'm right here. So knowing how to buy the lower end on a weekly contract is the right thing to do. Now we have MMTs looking at other ones that work, and they work fairly decent, and they were very close to still in big time bids. Here's that same 2750 call, though it's a monthly, but there is no volume on 2750 monthly. No. And so how do you take advantage of something? If this Nasdaq 100 index was to pull back a little bit, you could get below that closing price on the bid, and we would be looking at around $37.50 in one area. And if we were to have a reversal, we have a lower market between 32.50 and 34.5. So it just depends on what the index does. But nonetheless, that's what the 421 call looks like. Not only that, The very same up and out of the money weekly call has 21 contracts traded. Look at the low, $6.40. And it's up and out of the money weekly, 27.75. And that is the big coin operator, because they drop it down there and then they run it back to the high. That's a 27.75 weekly call. The 2800, which people have been buying 40 of, it doesn't have a lot of spread, as it shouldn't. But you can take a look at the low end. There was $2 and the high is $3.40. Now, they're buying those on a weekly level because that's 40 contracts. Out of the whole Nasdaq 100 on the volume for the weekly, that's the biggest traded one. Here, look at the 28.25 call. $1.02 on the high, 65 on the low, but you have 38 in volume, and it's a weekly 28.25 call. So basically, the way I see it, that weekly 27.25 call, well, this is in the money, and there's no volume, and the only way to beat it is put your limit order out there to a premium to the close. In the shorter term, if you get a reversal, maybe you get in at 40.5, $40.50. That's, below the floor. Nasdaq 100 update completion. Time 7:22 a.m. 4/2/2012. Index option training for certified SMF index market maker trainees.